We've witnessed eras of dominance from F1 teams and drivers in the past, but nothing quite like what Max Verstappen and Red Bull achieved in 2023. Now that the 2023 season has concluded, all teams are back to the drawing board, aiming to develop a car capable of dominating every Grand Prix when the next season kicks off in Bahrain. With anticipation building, what changes can we expect when the season commences in Bahrain? Let's find out. Let's begin with Ferrari. Ferrari are shaking things up big time. They've looked at their 2023 car and decided it's time for a complete do-over. Ferrari clinched 4 victories and secured second place in the Constructors' Championship last year. So, heading into the 2023 season, they aim to amplify the potential of their 2022 car and go head-to-head with Red Bull. However, reality struck hard as Ferrari finished the 2023 season in a disappointing third place behind Red Bull and Mercedes in the constructors' standing. Even though they were able to compete against Red Bull on certain tracks, they were nowhere close to Red Bull's best. The big bosses at Ferrari have been dropping hints that some serious changes are coming in 2024. The team boss, Fred Vasseur, didn't spill all the beans, but he hinted that they're ditching the current car's body and gearbox. Recently, Enrico Cardile, the Ferrari chassis expert, spilled the details. According to him, the main problem with the current car is how it handles the aerodynamics. So, they're not just tweaking a few things. They're building a completely new car, new chassis, new design, even a new rear end. Cardile put it this way: it will be very different because while developing this year's car, we realized that some choices we made were not right, holding us back too much. Next year's car won't just be a fancier version of this year's. It'll be totally new, different chassis, different design, different rear end. This way, we can make the car better and hit our goals. In simple terms, Ferrari knows what went wrong and they're not lost on what to fix. Cardile said, "We know what we have to do. It's a matter of doing it, finding the right ingredients for the car to meet our goals." So, what are the new things we will see in the 2024 Ferrari car? First off, the rear suspension is getting a makeover with a push rod configuration, and they're throwing in a completely new transmission for good measure. Moving on to the side pods in 2024, they're going for a sleek look with a continuous, sloping upper profile. Forget those extra ducts you saw on the SF23. Now, let's talk about inlets. The design is shifting from oblong shapes to rectangular slots. These slots will be narrower, with fewer vertical sections. It's all about that aerodynamic finesse. Switching gears to the front suspension, they're giving it an anti-dive upgrade, going for a pull rod layout similar to Red Bull's RB19. That's a shift from the usual push rod setup. The side pods will be going wide and deep with a lower channel, all to amp up the flow of airflow heading towards the back. And finally, the floor design of the 676 model is getting a revamp. There'll be intentional disruptions in its profile strategically placed in the Ventura channels to counteract any pesky porpoising tendencies. Ferrari are doing all this so that they can give Red Bull a run for their money and get back to being regular race winners. If everything falls into place with their 2024 car, that dream could very well become a reality. Another team seeking to build impressive machinery is Mercedes. Before the 2022 season kicked off, Mercedes revealed a groundbreaking design featuring the zero-pod element that caused a stir in the F1 world. However, trouble was evident even during pre-season testing, with team principal Toto Wolff admitting they got the physics wrong with the W13, leading to persistent porpoising issues throughout the year. Despite upgrades and tweaks, Mercedes ended up trailing both Red Bull and Ferrari in the 2022 standings. Fast forward to this year, the W14 initially showcased a similar zero-pod design, but by the Monaco Grand Prix, Mercedes had abandoned it, adopting a design reminiscent of Red Bull's RB19. Now, After a challenging 2023 season, Wolff is steering Mercedes back to the drawing board for the 2024 W15 Formula One car. Despite clinching a narrow P2 in the Constructors' Championship, Mercedes acknowledged that the W14 couldn't match Red Bull's dominance. The root cause was traced back to an erroneous decision regarding the car's aerodynamics. Upgrades introduced from the Monaco GP failed to remedy the situation. For 2024, Mercedes is taking a bold approach, aiming to change nearly every component of the car. Wolff emphasized the extent of the overhaul, stating, "We are changing the concept. We are completely moving away from how we laid out the chassis, the weight distribution, and the airflow. I mean, literally, there's almost every component that's being changed, because only by doing that, I think we have a chance." Acknowledging the uncertainty of the outcome, Wolff added, "We could get it wrong also." So, between not gaining what we expect, to catching up and making a big step and competing in the front, everything is possible. Mercedes' primary goal for 2024 is to contend for a 9th F1 World title, setting very ambitious targets for the new car. The focus is on providing drivers with a more stable and predictable platform. However, experts like technical analyst Gary Anderson foresee a challenging start for Mercedes in the 2024 season, projecting them potentially as the 4th fastest team when the season kicks off. So, it's a bit uncertain, but Mercedes is taking a big swing to get back to the top of Formula One. Before we move on, we know you wouldn't want to miss out on more exclusive content like this. So, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel to stay updated with all the latest in the world of Formula One. Let us move on. What about McLaren? McLaren faced a tough start to the season, missing its winter development goals and scoring no points in the first 2 races. But things took a turn after a 3-stage car upgrade introduced at the Austrian Grand Prix. The team swiftly climbed the ranks, becoming the 2nd fastest after Red Bull. The Woking-based team consistently challenged Red Bull in later races of the season, securing podium finishes in 5 out of the last 6 races. While McLaren has shown impressive progress this year, the team acknowledges the need for further improvements before it can truly contend with Red Bull's dominant pace. Speaking at the Brazilian Grand Prix, McLaren team principal Andrea Stella reckoned that the only thing now separating the 2 teams was tyre management, with Red Bull still having the edge in dealing with degradation. Despite the late progress they made in the 2023 season, McLaren's team principal, Andrea Stella, recently revealed that they've only achieved less than half of their aerodynamics goals for the car. This opens up exciting possibilities for McLaren to make significant strides in 2024, especially with their new car being the first crafted entirely in their state-of-the-art wind tunnel in Woking. Next year will be the first time this new wind tunnel makes a difference in how McLaren designs their cars. Plus, they've hired some important people from other top teams like Red Bull and Ferrari to help make their cars even better. All these changes and progress are also crucial for keeping Lando Norris on the team. His contract is ending in 2025, and other big teams like Red Bull, Mercedes, and Aston Martin are interested in him. When asked about McLaren's chances in 2024, Andrea Stella said they're feeling positive about the changes they're making to the new car. But like all the other teams, they don't know for sure if they're getting better faster than the rest, especially compared to Red Bull. So, there's a lot of excitement and uncertainty as McLaren gears up for the 2024 season. Aware that rivals like Mercedes and Ferrari, who have underperformed this season, are planning significant overhauls for their 2024 cars, McLaren anticipates a potentially different landscape at the front of Formula One next year. Despite this, McLaren believes it is well positioned to make strides in the upcoming winter, starting from a more competitive base. Andrea Stella emphasizes the importance of the current season's performance as a starting point for next year's car development. While some elements of the initial car for the 2023 season were retained, a substantial overhaul was necessary as the season progressed. This overhaul particularly impacted the floor, bodywork, rear wing, and to some extent, the front wing. The development path involved exploring different concepts to optimize performance rather than a straightforward iterative process from the launch car's initial concept. It is from this point that McLaren will continue their 2024 car development. So, we won't get to see a major overhaul like their rivals are doing. Now, let's talk about Red Bull. Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez have been unstoppable in the 2023 season, winning 19 out of 20 Grands Prix. Red Bull's RB19 car proved to be way ahead of the competition, despite confirming their focus on the 2024 season due to cost cap penalties. Red Bull doesn't plan to carry over the current car design into the next year. With rivals like McLaren and Mercedes closing in, Red Bull's chief engineer, Paul Monaghan, emphasized the need for progress. While the rules are more restrictive compared to previous years, Monaghan hinted that the 2024 car would be an evolution of the current design. However, he stressed the importance of making substantial progress to stay ahead, acknowledging the rising competition. Looking ahead to 2024, Red Bull aims to defend their titles in what will be a record 24-race season. The big question is how much their rivals can improve, considering the final gap between Red Bull and Mercedes was significant. Even though Mercedes failed to win a race for the first time since 2011, they, along with other teams, are determined to close the gap during the off-season. Red Bull team principal Christian Horner acknowledged that their dominance in 2023 would motivate competitors to come back stronger. He expressed the likelihood that they won't experience the same level of dominance and emphasized the need to learn from the RB19 success to create a car capable of defending their titles in the future. Will we see a repeat of Red Bull's dominance next season? Let us know what you think in the comments section below. That will be all for today's video. Thanks for staying tuned. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and notification bell so that you can always watch more amazing videos like this. See you in the next video.